The Original Gold Stakes takes place Saturday at Charlestown Races. That's the feature of the weekend for fillies and mares bred in West Virginia, going 7 furlongs. Trainer Ronnie Sigler's got a pair in there, and a little bit later, Ted Black is going to catch up with Ronnie to catch up on his horses in the Original Gold, plus his practice as an equine dentist, trainer / equine dentist. Interesting conversation coming up there. My name's Frank Vespi. I'm going to catch up a little bit later with Charlestown track announcer Paul Espinosa. We'll preview that race, catch up on some other news from Charlestown races right here on Charlestown Races Today, powered by the Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com. Charlestown Races Today, part of the Midlantic Racing Today family of podcasts. Please do like and subscribe. You can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts, and we appreciate that very much. So let's bring in Ted Black and Ronnie Sigler.
Hey, Ronnie Sigler.
Hey, Ted.
How are you
doing today, bud?
Good. You?
Real
I
good.
imagine glad to have the horses. I would think. I imagine glad to have the horses back on the track and
oh yeah,
run again this weekend.
Yeah. We got a little action going.
All right. Yeah, quite a bit. Ronnie, give us a little background first. I looked it up. I saw you saddled this winter quite a few years back. A horse named Luxor.
Yep.
And then of course, the last couple of years, career has really taken off. What's it been like? Being a lot more prominent around the track and in the inner circle the last couple of years for you, Ronnie.
Oh, it's been exciting. It's been I guess for the last when I was helping Mr. Casey there when he was getting a little older and couldn't quite do things the way he used to. So it's been probably the last 8 or 9 years, I guess. It's been pretty steady. Yeah. I always had at least one horse, every year, every other year or something, in the years before that, but keep it for 2 or 3 years, and then whatever happened.
Right. In addition to training horses, I don't know if a lot of people know it, but I'm sure they do on the backside. You're also an equine dentist.
Yeah.
How did that come to fruition for you, Ronnie?
I've been doing it since 1988. That's when I first started. So I've been doing it a pretty good while. My dad just thought it was a good thing. Wasn't a lot of dentists around, so I thought it'd be a good thing for me to get into. So I got into it a long time ago, and over the years have just built up a really, really big clientele in the Mid-Atlantic.
Ideally, Ronnie, how often should horses have their teeth? I imagine filed or checked, or
they should be done. If they're a performance horse and they're performing, they should probably be done twice a year. Once they get off the track and get a little older, you could probably get away with once a year, as long as they've been done routinely. Yeah.
What is? Yeah, I would imagine. What's typically a routine check for you on a horse? Is it filing the horse, checking for maybe a tooth abscess here or there, or?
Yeah, not really too many teeth abscesses. They do happen, but it's mainly with the young horses. Their baby teeth, which we call caps. Okay. Sometimes they don't shed them and they stay retained, so. I'll have to pull them off because they'll fracture and break and cause all kind of problems. So it's usually that. It's more when they're 2, 3, and 4, dealing with the caps and taking the wolf teeth out, and then just keeping them floated and balanced. That's the main thing.
Okay.
No interference with the bit. That they want to guide good. That's the main objective.
Sure. Now, back to the training aspect. Obviously, a lot of success for you the last few years.
Yep.
A couple of stakes winners, and going for another one on Saturday night in the Original Gold. I saw you've got 2 entered. One filly a little more accomplished than the other, but talk about both fillies you have pointed for the Original Gold on Saturday, right?
She won't talk to me. She ran a credible race. I think she just needed one the first time. Juba's Ballerina was, I think, in the same race and beat her. Juba's Ballerina is a little bit better going longer. She likes that mile and 16, mile and 8, but I think they're both going to run well. I think it's I think there's 5 horses that could win the race. I wouldn't, if they run a really big race and maybe prove a few lengths, any of ours could win.
Right. Yeah, it looks like a pretty wide open race on paper. Obviously, overnight powwow.
Very wide open.
Overnight powwow is going to be a factor. Your 2, Jeff has 2 in there that look like they're both going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
What
all about the pace.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, those. You're right, and then a lot depends on how the track is going to play. First week back.
All this rain, I'm thinking it's going to be fast, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how much the wet track really tightens it up.
Yeah. So that would probably favor powwow a little bit if it's faster, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, it'd be an interesting race, and let's face it, you'll have a few more chances down the road. The Sadie Hawkins, I imagine, possibility. Certainly, everyone's pointing for the Cavada. If you've got a really good fillier mare, you're going to be pointing for the Cavada. And then you've got another one in. I know it's Friday, but you've already won a stake this year with Masked and Mum, who won the stakes last year. So, talk about how good she's been and what's it been like training her, Ronnie.
Yeah, she's a nice filly, man. She tries every time she goes out there. This looks like a really good spot for her this coming Friday. So, once she gets 6.5, 7/8, even though she won the stake going 4.5, I think 6.5, 7/8 she's gonna like better.
Right. Yeah, she really came into her own the last part of last year too. Winning. And I think she graduated going 2 turns, and then she went to Casey going 2 turns, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the futurity. Yeah.
And the futurity, right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, really good end to her campaign and good start to her current campaign. So, I imagine, the barn's pretty high on her going forward this,
Yeah. She's really good. She's good to be around. She's got a pretty good mind on her, so that helps. Yeah.
Okay, good to hear. And then obviously a couple weeks away, but the Confucius Say, I'm sure there's a couple that you're looking at for that race. A couple of horses that customer running stakes already, like Juba's Hat Trick and Tricks is for Juba. What's it like having those 2 horses in your barn? And
they I'm pretty sure probably Hat Trick will probably be in there. I'm not sure about Tricks for Juba yet. We'll wait and see. Could be a contender, but there could be a few runners in there. So I don't, he's only a 3-year-old. Tricks for Juba.
Right.
Ran a great race in his first start back this year. These were some pretty hard knocking older horses that he beat coming off of a 2-year-old campaign. And then when he ran back, it was a little bit quick, probably running him back in the stake. 14-day layoff off of a really big effort. So maybe that might have bounced a little bit. So looking forward to see how he runs the next time for Tricks.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't go into Confucius, which is mainly for older horses, plenty of spots for him down the road for the 3.
Yeah, he's still got all these conditions left, so we'll try to have some fun with him through the summer, and a couple stakes coming up for just the 3-year-olds. So hopefully we can improve going longer. I think he's better going longer too, for sure.
Sure. What's it like going through the book? As soon as it comes out and trying to map out, races for all the horses that you have, and trying to get them ideally. I'm sure the stakes are the primary target for a lot of the West Virginia breds that you have, Ronnie, and the bigger ones in the summer and fall. So what's it like going through the condition book and trying to map out a campaign? Of course, it doesn't always go according to plan. Every trainer will tell you that, but Yeah, what's it like when you look through the book and you just try to map out the whole campaign for a number of horses?
The right races are at the right time and that they go. That's been a big factor, getting the races to go. But the main thing is trying to get the easiest spot for them. That's picking the right races. Sometimes you have to jump a condition because it it won't go, and then you go. Say you're eligible for never win 2, you go to never win 3 because the never win 2 won't go. It's been a little bit difficult with that, but you try to get them in order, which is a little bit easier and probably a little better for the horse, so they don't have to run quite as hard. But that's the objective, just finding the good path.
Sure. Yeah, and the one benefit about going in the non-1 as a 3, I mean, if you win it when you fit now as a 2, you can still come back and win it again, potentially.
Exactly.
Exactly. But I understand your point. I mean, you don't want to have to go a step higher than you need to be if it's not necessary.
Yeah.
If you got horses that fit now,
with the shortage of the horses, it's just been a little bit difficult to, you may stay in the stall for 3 months if you don't jump a condition and go to a little tougher spot. Sometimes, you may get lucky and win it, but the only good thing is if you don't win it, you still got your condition,
Right. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the balance right now. Just hoping the race fills, if it's the right spot, and B, hoping he comes out of it, and then, you don't run through your conditions too quickly because.
Then you got the stakes and that's it. You got nowhere else really to go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you see that with a lot of trainers. You map it out and you hope for the best, but you've got to have a plan B, at some point.
Yeah.
Just in case, right?
Yeah.
Busy weekend altogether. I think. I was trying to remember looking at the entries. Did you have more than the 2 in on Saturday, or just the 2 for the stake, Ronnie?
Just the 2 for the stake. We got for tonight. We have Juba Be Wild and Candy Tricks tonight, and then of course the 2 fillies tomorrow. That we Master Mom and Poppy Mac.
Right.
And then we'll have the stake. Yeah.
Right. I got to ask you about one on Saturday that is not yours, but obviously near and dear and close at heart to you is Coach Siggy.
Oh yeah,
the one that Anthony Ferrier has, and named for your late son, unfortunately.
Yeah.
How much does that mean to you? Just watching that horse run and just knowing that
it's always exciting, and we're always rooting for him. We've been over to watch him run every time. All his buddies come. It's been pretty sentimental to go watch. But Anthony named that horse. He was hoping that he'd pick a good one. And he seems like he's a pretty nice horse. Anthony said he looks like he wants to go longer, so hopefully he'll put in a good performance for him and Rick this weekend.
Yeah, I believe he's on.
We'll be rooting him on.
Right. I was gonna. You can root for him until you've got one in the same race, right?
Yeah. That's what we told him.
Right.
If we don't win it, we hope he does. That'll be the goal there.
Right. Exactly. And then I know it's still a little early for the 2-year-olds at Charlestown. They typically aren't in the book until July, but anything from what you've seen from the development of some of the 2-year-olds you have coming along?
It's been very positive, very, very positive. Usually you always get, a few that are definitely standouts compared to the others, but this year they've all looked pretty good.
Okay.
So pretty exciting. I mean, they all got to stay healthy, but looks promising.
Okay,
so.
Good to hear. I imagine most of them are Juba's and or Casey's Legacy. Is that a correct assumption, Ronnie?
Yep. All of them are Casey Legacies.
Okay.
Christy looks like she has a few nice ones too, but they're all Juba's and Candy Tricks. I mean, not Candy Tricks. Candy Graham.
Candygram.
Yeah,
right.
Candygrams, yeah.
What's it meant to you having, someone like Brad Broy that wants to carry on the Casey's legacy tradition from what Mr. Casey had done?
It's it's been great. Him and John were really good friends, and he's looking out for Alan. So it's been very positive, and hopefully we can keep having the success that we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. You spent a lot of time with Mr. Casey as well, and he had a bunch, year in and year out. Toward the end, I think he was, because of his health, was scaling back a little bit. But I imagine it's good to see that Brad has sort of maintained the same number of horses that he's breeding at this point, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it could be down just a little bit, but it's not far off. It's not far off. It's probably slightly down, but I would say, back in Mr. Casey's heyday, he'd have 25 2-year-olds, maybe 25 to 30.
Sure.
And now it's probably not that many. I mean, it's probably 17, something like that, 17, 18. So it's down slightly.
Correct.
But,
yeah, I remember talking to Mr. Casey the last couple of years before he passed, and he had scaled back a little bit to about 18 to 20. As far as what he was breeding, and then occasionally, he would joke to me like, he would forget to nominate one to the Breeders' Classics, and of course that one would turn out to be his best one, right? Like William and Mary.
That was his namesake, William and Mary.
Yep. Yeah. Well, for whatever reason, that was his best one, and he forgot to nominate the horse to the Classic. So.
Yeah.
So. But it's good as Brad's continued the legacy, and hopefully have a little luck again this year. With the Jubas have been a big impact, and the Candygrams have done well. So
it's been positive. It's been the last 2-3 years. They've been. I mean, Juba, he's been the man here for the last couple of years, but Candygram he's starting to pick up a little bit too. So
sure,
exciting to see what happens here this year.
Yeah, so I imagine. Like I said, I think Charlie usually puts the first one in the book July 4th weekend. So
I think this year it's the 9th or 10th.
Weekend after. Okay.
It's been funny. Like it's been kind of like the last 3 or 4 years. It's went about a week or 2 weeks later than the previous year before the 2-year-old race goes. It's kind of been like a. So, we'll hope that the one in July, we should have some ready for it. We'll go. But if not, at the end of the July, probably for sure should go. The second.
I've noticed a lot of times, he'll try to split it by gender. And one won't go, and then you end up getting a combined race to go.
Yeah, exactly. Usually the fillies are a little quicker to get ready than the boys. So, and then if there's not enough, they'll jump over into the boy race to make it go, just so they can get a race under them. But hasn't been a lot of 2-year-olds. I'm a little concerned about it. Just watch. I mean, if you look at the workouts on Friday and Saturdays, you've seen ours been working a little bit, but there's not really been a lot of horses 2-year-olds working yet. So hoping it picks up here in the next month or month and a half.
Yeah, I imagine that's a product of how everything is kind of designed now too, right, Ronnie? I mean, the races are going a lot later. The 2-year-old stakes go well into the fall, almost to the winter. So, I mean, you want to have a horse peaking in October and November, essentially. So, I mean, you can't really push the pedal too soon, I would imagine.
No. You gotta let them tell you, the young ones for sure. Can't push them.
Right, like the 4.5 horses. Yeah, you want to get them going early because, their chances to make money are, those 4.5 maidens, 4.5 allowance if they ride them, and 4.5 stakes, and then the other horses, like you saw with Mast and Mummed. I mean, she's peaking 2 turns at the end of the year, so
Yeah, exactly.
there's no point having her cranked in July, right? I mean, it's just really
exactly.
no point to that.
Exactly. And then when you do win, I mean, if you win early, you won't run again unless you ship out of town, because there won't be any winning West Virginia bred races, maybe not even any opens, but for a while, your next start would probably be, you win first time out, then you're going to wait till the classics before you can probably run for your second start.
Right. Yeah, if you win maiden in July, I mean, you're probably going to have to go in that first stake in August, right? I mean, there's no gap, there's no race in between. More than likely. But I mean, a good problem to have if they're still good in the fall.
Absolutely, a good problem to have. Yes, it is for sure.
So, but anyway, no, I appreciate the feedback on everything, Ronnie.
Okay.
Look forward to seeing. I'll head up Saturday night for the stake race, and
okay, you'll be there. Hopefully, I'll be the one you can talk to in the winner's circle.
yeah. Hopefully, make that'd be nice to see you in the winner's circle, and it should be a heck of a race. A lot depend, like you said, on how the track's going to play and the pace scenario. But they drew 10, and there's easily 9 or 10 in it. Half of them right up the top can win it.
I think Petty Perfect's going to be that's just my gut feeling is she's going to be the horse to beat.
Sure.
Just got one in her. She got a little tired last time, but she's going to be ready this time.
Right. Yeah. Interesting that you have 2 Cavada winners in the field already. In this field.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Sky's falling. Yeah.
And an overnight power win the Cavada. I think Petty Perfect win the Cavada one year, right?
Yeah. Yep, she won it. So did Sky's Falling win it one year? I think she did. That'd be 3. That'd be 3 Cavada.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, that's correct. Yeah, that's 3.
Yeah.
That's 3 Cavada winners already in this group. So
yeah.
Kind of original gold would be proud, right? Because she won it twice. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 3 Cavada winners, and possibly a 4th one coming out of this group. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway. Sure. But yeah, let's sign off, Ronnie, and look forward to seeing you Saturday night at Charlestown.
Okay, Ted. Have a good day, buddy.
You too.
Now here's Frank Vespi with Charlestown track announcer Paul Espinosa on Charlestown Races Today.
Happy to be joined here by Charlestown track announcer Paul Espinosa. Paul, I guess we have good news, right? It looks like we got a racetrack back.
One of those things where hopefully no news is good news. And again, I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Looking forward to getting back to normal after a little Memorial Day week hiatus. But again, everything has seemingly gone according to plan. Outside of, we've been kind of inundated with some rain here recently, which probably has complicated things. Or I shouldn't say complicated things. It has probably made things a little bit tougher than what it would have been if we had gotten some dry weather. But overall, again, track looks good. I was telling you off air that right now I'd say that if we were getting ready to run tonight, it would be a sloppy track and would probably be muddy by the end of the night. And so, again, everything looks pretty homogenous, though. Everything looks good to go. And so, again, looking forward to hopefully getting back to action here on Thursday night.
It's always something when you're trying to keep a racetrack going. But that is obviously good news. So what I guess if you're going to not race unexpectedly, a 3-day holiday weekend's not a bad weekend not to race.
Yeah, the only thing that you'd wish is that we'd planned our water leaks ahead of time, so that you could at least plan a trip or something out of town. And
right.
But again, it was nice to get a chance to hang out. Now again, because of the weather, it wasn't exactly like it was a lot of fun to go outdoors and do stuff. But I got to rest up the voice for a week. I think I kind of mentioned to you though last time that I love my job. I love being up here in the booth, and so I'll be just fine getting back to normal here. And again, it's a fun time of the year always in racing. Triple Crown season, and obviously we're looking ahead already to Charlestown Classic and Oaks Night, which will be here before you know it in August down the road.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was talking with Chad Summers, who trains Preakness winner Napoleon Solo earlier today, and
whom you so brilliantly touted.
It's amazing that you remember that. It's almost like I said it 50 times. Yeah.
Hey, kudos.
But he was saying the same thing. He's like, this is an industry built on passion, and people do this because they love it and they want to be around it. And so I remember a trainer telling me he went on vacation. I was like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "Oh, we went to the racetrack wherever they were." He's like, I can't stay away." So, yeah. So everybody's happy when there's live racing happening. Something else I want to talk with you about briefly, a notice in the overnight from Charlestown. So this is really directed to the horsemen saying, hey guys, don't enter multiple horses and then scratch some of them. If you're going to enter, let's go ahead and run.
Yeah, and it's I think it's something that you're trying to just make things, just keep everything on the up and up. And it's certainly not a one trainer thing. That's it's multiple barns that tend to do this. I know for me as a morning line odds maker, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of you take a little bit of a look at which horse. And it's funny how the horse that ends up being the shorter odds is the one that normally stays in. It's always funny how the horse that has the longer odds is the one that ends up scratching. And so it's one of those things where I think it protects a couple groups of people. First and foremost, one of the things that I feel like Charlestown we always try to keep in mind is our fans and horse players, and that's not something that you want to have to deal with if you're handicapping these races in advance. You want to know who's in, you want to know who's out, and so obviously stuff happens. It's horse racing is chaotic enough as it is without trainers entering why run two and one will do. And so that's one group. The second group is there are definitely people that do it the quote unquote right way, and that will, enter a horse, and maybe they do have another horse that they can put in that race, but they'll do what typically has been the right thing and just enter one. And then you kind of get screwed by the people that are doing it the wrong way and entering two that or scratch, because we want the full fields for the bettors. We want full competitive fields that people want to play. And so, the folks that aren't doing that are also having to pay the price. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like, just try to do things, we'll get to your races, hopefully eventually, it's, and if not, then, that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's been going on for a while, and we are not saying that Charlestown horsemen are the only horsemen that do this. Obviously, it happens around the country, but we would like to at least just let people know, hey, it's kind of getting a little bit out of hand. Let's just try to reel it in a little bit more. And so, yeah, instituting some changes that basically mean that suggest that if a horse does scratch when there are two in a race, you're going to end up, being on a 14-day no entry list, and the horse won't be able to ship in and off the grounds. And so some other factors that I'm sure that will go into that. Again, kudos to the racing office for trying to take some initiative and trying to curtail this little bit of an epidemic that we've been experiencing here for a bit at Charlestown.
Yeah, no, I applaud the racing office for taking the step, because as a handicapper, we were talking about before, I mean, you look at it, there's 7 horses in a race. I'm like, I don't know if this one's going to go. How do I handicap this race if he goes? How do I handicap it if he doesn't? And, depending on pace and other factors, that could be a big deal. And it's frustrating. And we all understand horses they wake up today and they're fine, and tomorrow, which is race day, they got a cough, they ding themselves in the stall, whatever. There's reasons, but this whole thing of horses getting entered and then scratched when they really never intended to run, it's frustrating as a horse player. So glad to see steps taken on it, and hopefully that will take care of it at Charlestown, and hopefully maybe other racing offices will look at this and say, hey, this is a pretty good idea. We need to do that ourselves. All right. Original Gold is the feature this weekend, 7/8 for 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mare state breds. And it looks to me like you got everyone you'd pretty much want to get in this race, including, was it the top 4 out of the Cavada last year?
I believe so. Yep. I see all bold lettering there in the running lines for the Cavada runners. It's again, like you said, everybody's in here. We touched on it last week. It's not exactly a division that I think has a real true leader, where we've had those big names that have kind of snatched the crown over the years. Overnight Powwow, we were talking. She's been odds on for her last basically 9+ races that are showing on the past performances. So I think she'll probably be favored. I just don't know if she's somebody that I would feel very confident taking at odds on, certainly, and let alone at any sort of short price, because it's a pretty solid field that I think she would appear to have the run of the race. There isn't a ton of other speed unless the last say draws in from the also eligible list. So how about that for Charlestown handicapping this year with so much intrigue on who's going to draw into these races, these stakes races. So we like those nice full fields, but she should have a pretty easy time of it on the front end, I would think. And it'd just be a matter of some of these horses, they've had some hiccups here and there, like Zip Start. Obviously, she would have been somebody that I would have probably considered making favorite over Overnight Powwow coming into her last race. But, then she clipped heels and had a kind of a rough run of it in that spot. You have her stablemate, The Sky is Falling, who's also a stout closer. You have the actual Cavada winner in Petty Perfect. And so, it's just a loaded race. The Roger Ramey Breeders' Classic Distaff winner, Juba's Little Ballerina. Everybody is in it. You said it very well. Everybody that you wanted to be in here is going to be in here, and it'll be fun to see how it shakes out on Saturday night.
Yeah. So, Overnight Powwow, you and I talked last year, and she had this kind of weird campaign where she was in a bunch of 4.5 races and really hadn't gotten a chance to race around 2 turns, and then was 3-5 in the Cavada, went to the front, and then pretty much stopped. And Petty Perfect just destroyed that field. She was really good that day. Yeah,
that's it. Kind of, I feel like, did encapsulate what her 4-year-old season ended up being, with just kind of a no excuses fourth, because those are not super fast fractions. She has gone faster and kept going, 23-2, 47-3. And she just had no answer once the real running started. She came back with a couple of nice efforts. And again, she's really never run a bad race. I definitely think that's safe to say. But I just don't know that we've seen her continue this like upward trajectory that you kind of thought we were going to get after, she runs in races like the Charlestown Oaks and the Cavada in her 3-year-old season. You kind of just thought that, the sky was the limit. And it just doesn't seem like she's taken that next step. And so, I will say that in general, that she's kind of one that I would think I would let her beat me at a short price. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if I'm announcing her as the winner of the original gold and she wires this field, I also wouldn't be shocked. I just don't even know that I would go as far as to say that she's the most likely winner of this race, just because of, even her last race, so April 17th there. Belle the Bluegrass, she's a nice allowance filly for Anthony Ferrier, but I don't think that she's some sort of world beater. And she, again, kind of set soft fractions and didn't really have much in terms of a response. And so like I said, not really much would surprise me. She's just not a filly that would be for me now, a mare that would be for me in a race like this that looks so wide open.
Yeah, it does look wide open. Let's talk about Petty Perfect for a minute. She won the Cavada last year, and I talking to Christy Petty after that win, which was Christy Petty's 3rd Cavada win in 4 years after 2 with Hessica. She was telling me, and JD Acosta basically said this, that the instructions were basically wait. And then when you've waited too long, wait a little more and then go. And she just exploded through the lane that day. We haven't quite seen that filly, that mare now. Haven't seen that mare very many times from her. I mean, she's run a bunch of good races, but that kind of explosive move, we haven't seen a ton.
Yeah, and I think that, again, her odds that night kind of indicative of that. She was 7-1 in a field of, very similar fillies and mares that what she's facing on Saturday. I actually was pretty impressed with her ability to stick around as long as she did in the My Sister Pearl. I thought that was probably a touch longer than what her best trip probably is. But I'm with you. That Cavado was really good, and we hadn't seen that type of pop, that often. And so, that's one of those where it's like, what is the saying? You didn't go to the wedding, so don't go to the funeral, or I don't know, that might be a little bit too morbid, but it's like one of those things where, are you going to be able to get 7-1 again, like you got in the Cavada, and how likely is she to repeat that effort? Now, I will say that, her comeback effort, just fine, obviously coming off of a 5-6 month layoff there, and ran against some pretty nice fillies in that race. So I think that she could be sitting on a little bit of a move forward, and this might just be a division where she doesn't actually have to move forward all that much. If she just kind of comes back with something close to that Cavada, she should be right there, because she's always right there. And so it's just a matter of will we get to see that? I do think that whether it was James W. Casey, John Casey, Christy Petty, that whole, obviously Ronnie Sigler, that whole operation, they do seem to, over the years, Breeders' Classics night, that is the goal. That is, it's like the Breeders' Cup, obviously, nationally. It's like, that's when we want our horse to give their best efforts. And so she's hardly the first filly, mare, colt, gelding that's ever, gone forth from that training tree, if you will, that produced her best effort on Breeders' Classics night. Just a matter of how many times throughout the course of a year will we get to see that, and will Saturday night be that for Petty Perfect?
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point. And certainly, if you're looking for her to take a step forward, as you just said, you got a useful season debut back in April. Didn't run great, but ran perfectly well to move forward from, if she's going to be able to move forward. So it'll be interesting to see what she does. What do you make of The Sky Is Falling? She's a horse that, like, there are a few horses like this, in my view, like, somehow she never runs very fast, but she wins races, which is obviously more important than, getting gaudy speed figures or whatever. But she was very good at 2, got good again last year at 6. It's just an interesting career, late running. What do you do with her?
Yeah, there are a couple different ways to go with this too, because I'm looking back at those fractions, and I would not take those fractions at face value. I think that there might have been some sort of timing issue there, and that's a whole nother can of worms when it comes to horse racing and handicapping, and our inability as an industry, and certainly again Charlestown being a part of that, to correctly time races in a sport where time matters a whole lot. Exactly. You got a wall behind you, I got a wall behind me, so we'll go ahead and just head against that. But regardless of what the actual fractions were, I do know that just visually it was a no chance type of trip for her off of a very slow pace, that overnight powwow set. And she was coming off of, again, kind of a no-show effort in the Nellie Morse. And but again, her Charlestown races were about as good as anybody's last year. That's but she can be her own worst enemy at times. And I think that in a race where we've already kind of identified that there might not be a lot of pace for her to close into, she's another one that I just don't know that I'm going to want to back it at short odds. And I will say also that Jeff Runco, while I would anticipate that both of his fillies and mares will run in Zip Start and The Sky Is Falling, of late he's been doing me a favor when it comes to morning line odds making, and he will actually just name Boca Chica on one. He's named Boca on both, and so I don't know right now who he's going to end up with. I would think he'd probably lean towards the Fresh Face and Zip Start, but I wouldn't be shocked either way, because obviously he's had a lot of success with both fillies and mares. But yeah, she's just one that I think that I would struggle to see Saturday night being her night, given the dynamics that we anticipate this race kind of having.
Yeah, and it's interesting. When you were talking about them, I was wondering, well, maybe Rame has The Sky Is Falling. Maybe he'll just put his owner's horse in, but then Rame has part of Zip Start too. So right, protected either way there. Zip Start, I mean, clearly she's a filly they like a little bit. I mean, they ran her in the Oaks, they ran her in the Safely Kept. So they've taken her on the road a couple times. Safely Kept, not so much. Obviously, the Oaks was pretty deep. And then Season Bow was not great either, but clipped heels. So that might have just been the whole case there.
And that would be the thing that I would have to, I would definitely recommend, and I'm going to end up doing is going back and watching the replay again to refresh my memory. Obviously, it was a race that I know I called, but I can't remember how significant it is because obviously it could happen at a time of the race where if it's shortly after the start, she's kind of for the most part, I guess she has pressed at times, but she's also come from a little bit off of it as well. But it does seem like she was a little bit further back in her last couple of races than what her ideal setup would be. And so, she's kind of in that same type of vein that we talked about with Overnight Powwow, where she closed her 3-year-old year so impressively that you kind of did think that there was going to be sort of an upward trajectory where she could be able to kind of follow in the footsteps of some pretty nice fillies and mares that Jeff Runco has had over the years. Certainly pedigree wise, she's by Upstart, kind of suggested that she'd be able to kind of go on a little bit. And like I said, it's off of two, her form is a little bit muddied up, that's for sure, over these last couple of efforts. And if I would say that a lot of it will come down to, looking at that incident with the clipping of the heels and seeing just how much of an excuse that really was. And again, maybe it's one of those things where it actually ends up causing her to take more money because maybe it wasn't actually that bad. And people just kind of see that and they're like, oh, wow, let's draw a line through that race and move on. I do still think that she's a filly with quite a bit of talent, and we'll just see if she has been able to kind of take that forward step from 3 to 4, hopefully with a clean run on Saturday.
Who else you think we should touch on here?
Sky's Music ran behind Zip Start in the West Virginia Lottery Breeders' Classic. She's run a lot since then, but she's another one that really has not run any bad races. She is another one that kind of figures to be maybe a little bit up against it from a pace standpoint, but she's been able to stay in close attendance to some fairly decent paces, I guess. And so I would say that she's one to kind of keep an eye on. Let's see. Anybody else that really catches my eye kind of this time through? We mentioned the last say, she's going to be drawing in off the also if she would have to draw in off the also eligible, excuse me. But, she kind of put together a pretty solid effort on the front end last time. It was a pretty aggressive second quarter, again, if assuming that time is correct, where she actually kind of went faster the second quarter than she did in the first quarter. And so still was able to kind of keep going there. The Ronnie Brown barn is hot, Moises Santaya. And so her being drawn to the outside, not too worried about it going 7 furlongs in a fairly paceless race other than Overnight Powwow. So it could be the bookends if she's able to draw in. I would be a little bit skeptical, though, of her having to deal with Overnight Powwow on the front end and then hold off that next wave of closers that would come in. So she would just be an interesting filly to draw in that could really kind of invite some of the closers into this one if she is able to draw in. But again, haven't heard anything to suggest that she will. Right. Obviously, just like always, like we've said before, hoping for a full gate and a nice wide open wagering event.
All right, so the original gold is the 8th of 9 on Saturday. That is the feature. Paul, 2 weeks later, we're going to see the boys doing the same thing. We've kind of moved past the 4.5 furlong races for the most part. Now, won't see too many of those. A couple still to come, but in general, we're going 2 turns and then later 3. So the boys will be the Confucius Say, June 13th. Anything you're thinking we should be thinking about looking ahead a couple of weeks?
I know we've touched on Juba with the Twist a couple times here the last couple of weeks, and so I would anticipate that timing-wise, it should work out really well for him to be making his stakes return to stakes action, I should say. I would think that Spot a Free One, I think we've also touched on him a little bit for Jeff Runco. He had Coastal Mission he was working, and then we mentioned again right before the show started that he kind of has a little bit of another gap in his work, so not maybe expecting to see him in that race. So that's obviously a little bit of a bummer because would like to see him hopefully get back and be able to show what he's made of again. I believe it's hoof issues that he's going with. And again, I apologize if it's not, but I think in talking to Ted Black, in his conversations with Runco, I believe that's sort of what he's brought up, that he might be dealing with some quarter crack issues. And so obviously hope that he's able to get those resolved and we get to see him back here on the track here at some point. But, it's another division where I guess I'm not sure if teaching the release, I'm pointing over my shoulder because
that's who I want to ask you about. Yeah.
His silks are obviously, and the Robert Cole silks, they're painted atop the scale house right behind me here. I'm going to do a little on the fly little check here to see if he's been working, because he's sort of the leader in the clubhouse right now in terms of the West Virginia bred handicap division, if you will. And one quick search says he has not worked in the last 60 days, so it does not look so his last race was in the Robert T. Manfuso down your way at Laurel Park, and so we have not seen him since that race, and so I would not anticipate he would have enough time to get ready off of no works for the Confucius Say. So seems like again, that division could be up for grabs, at least for the immediate future. I would say that I think both Teaching the Release and Coastal Mission would probably have a say in, who win healthy. They're kind of the top two West Virginia breds in training right now. I would say. I don't know if that's that outlandish to say, but I think Juba with the Twist is trying to kind of get back into that after a rough couple of years in terms of just being able to stick around. And so I'll be looking forward to seeing him. I would think, like I said, spot a free one. Trying to think about anybody else that really comes to mind. I know obviously No Change has retired, so we're kind of seeing a little bit of a changing of the guard to an extent, but sort of like the filly and mare division, I think that means that we could end up seeing a nice big field and a good wagering race, and certainly always excited to see those horses all get together and square off.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun. I'd certainly, you're talking Coastal. It'd be fun to get Coastal Mission and Teaching the Release both back going. It'd be fun to see them square off. And we haven't seen a ton of Coastal in West Virginia since early in his career, because Jeff took him out and won a graded stake with him and tried some deeper waters in various spots, New York, Philadelphia, wherever. And then Teaching the Release was just dazzling at those last couple of 9 furlong races at Charlestown at the end of last year before a kind of off-color try at Laurel. But so it'd be fun if we could get those guys back. That'd be pretty neat to see.
For sure. Yeah. And like I said, it's always fun to see the best square off against the best. And it does feel like, I think the year that Coastal was at his best, I think he had ended up skipping the Breeders' Classic, and that was going to be a showdown between Juba with the Twist and Coastal Mission, who at the time were probably the two best. And then, like you said, Jeff, kind of, he's certainly shown that he's not afraid to take his good horses and run out of town and run for some pretty big purses elsewhere as well. So it'd be nice to see at some point see him get back to here at Charlestown, because it's been too long since I've called him. That's for sure. So.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure that they probably think it hasn't been long enough since I've called him, but again, for me, I know it's been too long for my liking since I've had a chance to call him. So.
Well, where your perspective to where you stand depends on where you sit, right?
There you go.
By the way, who's the horse in the win photo behind you?
So right above me is Shenandoah Harley, and that is my
grandfather.
My grandfather's the best horse my grandfather ever owned. I would say that Noble's Honey would have probably the top spot in terms of the best horse that he's ever trained. She won a couple of Breeders' Classic races, and then I believe ran behind Coin Collector in a couple of she was a mare taking on the boys in the Breeders' Classic back in the day. She's probably the best horse that he's ever trained. But Shenandoah Harley got kind of a cool story. He's named after my family dog growing up, and then they got very lucky, and he was a part of the first crop of Malibu Moon, and so got really lucky getting him before he kind of blew up and became a Derby winning sire. But he's kind of the horse that really made me fall in love with the game, just the ride that he took our family on. And again, he ended up running second in the Breeders' Classic behind Speed Whiz one year,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that paid for the down payment on my grandfather's farm. And again, he was just a really cool horse that again, when I was that was my teenage years for sure, where the bug was really biting and it never let go. And so unfortunately, it'd be a little bit too iffy for me to move the computer camera, but right above him is his half brother, who was my namesake. His name was Paul's Taz. And so same mare, different stallion. I actually can't remember who Paul's Taz was by, but he couldn't outrun you or me. And so it's kind of funny how much Malibu Moon was able to move up Shenandoah Lady and produce a really nice horse in Shenandoah Harley. And then over here, obviously that's Zenyatta. And so then over here is my West Virginia diploma. So yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a rundown of what's behind me on these
the tour of the pictures. So, Malibu Moon, of course, started in Maryland, and immediately, I think first or second crop got Declan's Moon, who's a champion 2-year-old, and fairly quickly moved to Kentucky. But before he did, I owned, pieces of 2 of the slow Malibu Moons, because there were some of those too. And of course I had those, but nevertheless, he is a local success story. And,
I think of like the Fibersons. I know that one of the famous like John McKee quotes was, that you could breed him to a fence post and like you'd get a runner. And, it's like it's one of those things where it's like, I would have the luck of like, I'd be the one that would have the slow Fiberson, it's just crazy.
You and I could go partners on it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Hey, they're easy to call because you know that they're going to be right there at the back of the pack. So
yeah, right. This one Malibu Moon we had was like, he was like a late runner, so he would always be at the back, and then sometimes he would run and sometimes he wouldn't. So sometimes he'd just be at the back of the pack, and then other times he'd run on at least a little bit. He won a couple of races, but he won much horse. But he's still living a country life, actually. Alden's Malibu, and has the personality of a dog. He's kind of a neat horse. He's just like a friendly, goofy guy. So
there you go. That's awesome.
So anyway, that's the story of that. Paul Espinosa, as always, thank you. Thanks for giving us the lowdown on what's happening at Charlestown, and we'll be back at it next week.
One piece of quick breaking news: the sun is out. I don't think we've seen that in ages, but yeah. So breaking news to end the podcast.
We love that.
Out, and hopefully we'll be continued to dry out here, and look forward to getting back to business here this week. And appreciate you having me on as always, Frank.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk soon. You want to make sure to check out the original Gold Stakes on Saturday. It is a wide open affair, fun handicapping puzzle. Should be an entertaining race. So looking forward to that. Our thanks to Paul Espinosa, Ronnie Sigler, Ted Black, and most of all to you for watching and listening to Charlestown Races Today, part of the Midlantic Racing Today family of podcasts, all of them powered by the Racing Biz, the racingbiz.com. Charlestown Races Today presented by Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time on Midlantic Racing Today.